Well, hello everyone. So good to be here with you again this evening, even if it is on Zoom. Weather's a little wild and crazy and here where I am and where you are, so I'm coming into you this way this evening. The title of my talk is Embrace the Now. And the affirmation that I'll begin with, starting and finishing, is I am present with what is and I am open to possibilities. I want to bounce around a little bit tonight. I've had a lot on my mind since the past 2 weeks since I crossed the threshold into the new year. And the talk that I gave on New Year's Day, I suppose, kind of prompted even some of my own awareness of something deep within that's wanting to shake me up a bit and reveal to me, well, I don't know, something new or different within me that's ready to take form. I've not noticed it quite so strong in the years before, but man, it's really talking to me this year. And sometimes it can feel like a little crazy time on earth right now, and maybe that's part of it too. I've seen two things in print recently that kind of sparked the conversation in me for our talk tonight. I'm going to share them with you. The first one is a quote by Deepak Chopra from The Spiritual Laws of Success. And in it, he says, "What I really want you to focus on is asking yourself how you can serve humanity because you have your own unique talents. Ask yourself what your own unique talents are because you have a talent that no one else has, and you have a special way of expressing that talent, and no one else has it." I'll say it again. Chopra says, what I really want you to focus on is asking yourself how you can serve humanity and asking yourself what your own unique talents are because you have a unique talent that no one else has and you have a special way of expressing it and no one else has it. That's something to put in your meditation notes. The second thing I want to talk about is a longer piece of information, and I'm going to take us out into the real world for a little bit, and then I'll tie it back all in together for our spiritual message. So, how many people recently have noticed that there's still a lot of help wanted signs everywhere you go in the stores or restaurants, even though Christmas season, holiday season is over? How many people have gone to a restaurant in the past few months and there's a sign greeting you at the door first that says, "We'll do our best to serve you. We are low on staff. Thank you for your patience." Yeah, I've seen that a lot. It appears that many people around the country are in a phase of change, of questioning and shift. Why? Well, I don't know exactly, except to say that maybe the energies on our dear planet are changing in big ways, heightening. Energy, frequency, consciousness heightening in good ways. What's coming during this year is going to change all of us in some way and for the better, and will bring a higher degree of consciousness if we allow it to happen. But we know we're always at choice. And so I believe we're feeling the stirrings of this, and it's opening parts of our awareness to take a look at our personal world in a very different way. There's an interesting phenomenon going on currently called the Great Resignation or the Big Quit. It's been talked about on the news stations, and I even heard it again this morning on my own local Texas news. People are leaving their jobs. Some are going to new employers. Some are reinventing themselves and starting their own businesses. And some are feeling that working is just not in their best interest right now for many reasons. 60 Minutes recently did a segment on this. They spoke with the chief economist of LinkedIn. She described that the past year and a half of COVID gave people the pause to recognize that their lives had been set on a path of living to work. And the pause gave them time to assess how this has taken a toll on their lives, and for a lot, it's caused burnout. The summary of the data showed that the baby boomers are retiring early. Women and the Gen Xer, that age group, are the highest group of people leaving their jobs, and those are our food servers and the restaurants. The jobs with the highest resignations are the service jobs, retail, food, even schools, and healthcare, and also construction. Recently, Bob and I decided we wanted some work done on our back patio, so we started calling for bids. The business owners would come out to see what we wanted to do, and they'd talk about getting us the bid. And then they started talking about the trouble they're having with workers, no matter how well they try to take care of them. Well, only a few people actually returned the bids to us. Most of these jobs that are the ones that require the most energy, but yet provide the least amount of pay. People are burned out, and in some cases, they're acknowledging that it just may not be worth it. Having the stay alive for the job experience has depleted them and taken energy from other parts of their lives and their family. And they're not returning to their jobs right away if they do want to go back to work. They're taking their time. And some are also migrating to safer areas to live and also to more affordable areas because heaven knows the housing market is nuts. I'm glad I'm not looking for a house right now. Now, some will say it's the government stimulus and the unemployment funds that are keeping people at home, but those checks stopped a long time ago, and still, not everyone went back to work. The BBC out of England is seeing it from a very different angle, and they're calling it the Great Reshuffle. Workers, globally in some instances, aren't just leaving the workforce. Million people are reconfiguring their careers. Some are leveraging the current hiring crisis to get better positions. Others have decided to work for themselves, with the number of self-employed workers in the US has risen by almost 500,000 since the pandemic started. That's a good number. For many, however, it is simply shifting into new industries and careers that offer higher wages or aligning more with their own values, what they have to offer, and jobs that treat them with value. Remember what Chopra asks, what is your unique skill or talent? Workers are discovering they have agency. They're fine tuning a better work life balance and making deliberate choices as to where their careers are headed next. There's now a greater ability for people to fit their work into their lives instead of having to squeeze their lives around their work. Many are finding work that has been able to allow them to choose their work more carefully and come back to a healthy autonomy and flexibility. For some, it's still about the money, but for many, it's not. It's about self care. Now, take a breath with me. And we'll move into spiritual principle of living in the now moment and all that spirit offers us all the time. It is being in the now moment that opens us to recognize who we are, when what we are, and what the world around us has to offer and our value in it. Remember that we're spiritual beings having a human experience. We had to squeeze that higher, multidimensional, flowing spiritual form into this lower three-dimensional physical body. And coming through the veil, we forgot what we are and have allowed ourselves to shut down in a sense due to the demands of society. The other side of this little tidbit is for all of us to remember who and what we are and lift humanity back up. That's a talk for another day. Romans 13:11. Now is the time to awake out of sleep. From the Science of Mind, page 487, The Great Awakening. The belief is a life apart from good. The belief in a life apart from good is a dream from which we must awake if we are to taste the waters of reality which flow from the source of life. This awakening is a process of evolution, a little here, a little there, until the whole eye is opened and we see that life is neither separate from God nor different from good. Life is God, and good is the only power there is or can be. To awaken oneself is to be healed, made prosperous, happy, and satisfied. To be made every whit whole, to be complete as we are intended to be. Good, God is a God of the living and not the dead. The January theme from the global calendar is Living Everyday Wonder, and the title this week, Embrace the Now. Spiritual living doesn't just happen on a meditation cushion or on Sunday mornings, or in our case, Saturday evenings. Spiritual living is a way of life that happens every moment of every day, applying spiritual tools, which are the activities we do to keep us in spiritual flow, understand the power that we have in creating our lives, what our thoughts do, and seeing the world from a spiritual perspective, and recognizing spiritual principles in every area of our lives on a regular and consistent basis, a daily basis. When we live this way, life actually flows easier, choices are clear, and what appear as miracles become everyday occurrences. This is wonder in every day, just waiting for us to live it. Every time I see the word wonder now with this topic, I'm reminded of a darling little movie a couple years ago with Julia Roberts. And the movie was called Wonder. It was about her son who had a facial deformity. And he'd been schooled at home and wants to start public school for the first time in fifth grade. He is the epitome of love and maneuvering through challenges. Check it out if you haven't seen it. It's really good. So, back on track. When we live with spiritual tools and principles, we are more open and aware, and life flows for us. A few challenges because it's earth, and we learn how to move through them easier. Awareness and appreciation of wonder can only happen in this now moment. In fact, everything happens in the now because there is no other moment. Curiosity is a part of being in the now moment with an open heart and questioning, wanting to learn something new. Author Mary O'Malley defines curiosity as the art of bringing our attention and our immediate present into together. Our attention and our immediate experience together. Being curious in this way, we're being present in wonder. We are transformed by coming into alignment with life, coming into alignment with what is happening in this now moment. And I'm expressing the now, kind of emphasizing it, because too often we tend to look at past experiences or to the future when what we want and what may be the best for us is actually right here in front of us. Ernest Holmes again from The Science of Mind. Here and now we are surrounded by and immersed in an infinite good. How much of this infinite good is ours? All of it. Wonder, curiosity, and being present in the now moment opens us to this infinite good. Science of Mind tries to make it very clear that when we are in alignment with our good and in the present moment, the now, the universe conspires for our highest good. Life happens for us. Life is not a series of random events. It is a highly intelligent unfolding, giving us whatever is most supportive of the evolution of our consciousness. How can we be present in life in the now and in the flow and present in spirit? Well, earlier in the talk, I mentioned that some people are awakened or have awakened to the fact that they'd worked in their lives in these jobs that took so much away from them. In a way, they had fallen into a hypnotic trance, that rut of wake up, work, come home, dinner, maybe a few chores, sleep, wake up, and start over again. Have you seen the new Matrix Resurrections? I'm a junkie for the Matrix movies. This is one of the themes of the movie. It's quite good. And it shows Neo, played by Keanu Reeves, in his mundane daily cycle. Wake up, work, in the elevator with other people with their faces stuck to their phones, coffee, then starting work. That's not real living or being in connection with the flow of life. It's a disconnection. So people are waking up, wanting to make connection with life and the good that embraces us in this universe. That's God. They want to reconnect. This doesn't happen when we dream of the past or of the future. Those have their own purpose for good. I won't take away from that. But making contact with life in the moment helps support our fullness and our connection to our good. I mentioned Mary O'Malley and her definition of curiosity. She also says that curiosity can be a type of mindfulness practice, another spiritual tool. Mindfulness brings us into the only moment that is, being fully aware of what we're doing and our motion. When we are touching, so what are we touching? How are we eating? Walking, feeling each movement on our body, on the earth. When we're curious, when we're in wonder, we come alive and we make direct contact with life. Only life happens in the now. Your mind is open, your senses are open, your heart is open, and love and good and inspiration are flowing into you. We've been conditioned in a way to identify ourselves as our thoughts and feelings and the sensation that those thoughts create. We've been conditioned to resist what we're experiencing in the moment and try to make it different than what it is. There are challenges in life, but it's our mistaken identity of separation and our resistance that manufacture the challenges into problems that lead to struggle and suffering. When this happens, we often try to control life, to fix it, to change it from that immediate place where it's really happening. I can refer to the people wanting to change their jobs right here. Their lives had been stifled and their identities diminished. And the only way to change effectively was to step out of that picture for the moment. This brings the person back into the now moment. Remember what Einstein said: you cannot solve a problem from the same consciousness that created it. You have to learn to see the world anew. We truly are consciousness. Zen leader Charlotte Joko Beck said, "Joy is exactly what's happening minus our opinion of it." I think that's a pretty good statement. Joy is exactly what's happening minus our opinion of it. Curiosity is about embracing the now and observing what is. It enables us to be present with what we are experiencing because or before we think about it and make up stories about it or label it through some past experience instead of seeing it for what it may be and identifying it in the moment. The focused attention of curiosity right here enables us to rediscover our natural inquisitiveness. The opportunity is to turn toward our experiences and challenges and be curious about them rather than try to distract ourselves from them or change them. This allows us to access a deeper knowing by looking directly at what's happening in that moment. This creates kind of a spaciousness to move through the experience or the challenge. It allows us to relate to our experience rather than relating from the experience. Can you see the difference? When we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. Becoming curious about life transforms our experience of it. When we stop trying to fix life and instead become present in our own experiences as they are, we come into alignment with life. And this happens in the now. Here's a little story about a woman named Clara sharing her insights about this, her experience. She describes, "I was cooking dinner and looking around my messy house, and thought came to my mind, I'm tired and I'm overwhelmed. And saying it caused me to buy into the story, and I noticed my energy sank. So being aware in that now moment, my perception shifted, and I came into an awareness that I realized that the tired and overwhelmed parts of me are here, like they're here in a way, but separate. And that small shift didn't cause the same energy sink. Instead, it created more spaciousness in my thought." I then said, "The tired and overwhelmed ones are visiting. That's it, they're just visiting." And what a shift it made. It acknowledged that it's all temporary, that this too shall pass. It opened me to even more spaciousness. I then had insights that the stories in our minds are just like the weather. It comes, it goes. Some days it's sunny, some days it's rainy, some days it's snowy, whatever. I can't control the weather. And it's not permanent. It's always shifting and impossible to control. The only choice is to experience it as it is, to see it, and remember things can change. So, our minds are not in control of us unless we allow it. But the trick is that we don't always know when it's happening. We aren't aware of it. That's when we're stuck in the rut. So what wakes us up? What woke up Clara in her story? What woke up Neo? What wakes up the person who suddenly realizes that they've been controlled by their job and they want to take control of their life back? What can wake us up to noticing our day, the little things, the curiosity of what we're doing, the good that's waiting to fill our lives, embrace us, and give us more? This week, be curious about the things. Be curious about the little things you do every day. Go into mindfulness, that state of watching, by slowing down and looking intentionally with new eyes at the mundane and the normal things you do and touch them. Anybody remember Stuart Wilde? I love his books on energy. He instructed to always be touching something in front of you. Touch the table, the chair, the steering wheel when you're driving. Notice what you see and feel. is anything different or unusual, or even something that hasn't always been there, or something that's always been there but you never really gave any attention before now? Pause and allow some inspiration or new thought to come into your mind about this thing you're looking at or watching and touching. And then ask, what new good is in this for me to know? And remember to listen to the inner presence of the divine that speaks to us all the time, waiting for us to acknowledge it, its presence, its guidance, and inspiration. And receive that inspiration. There's a gift in it all for us to see and experience, and we can receive more of it all the time. The affirmation, I am present with what is, and I am open to possibilities. Now, I want to end with a quote in paraphrase language from the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, chapter 4. In the language that it was written at that time, Yeshua speaks of the good that is present and comes when you are in balance. Good refers to God or Son of Man. When you have not let it in, you get sick and die, for you are deprived of the one who can heal you. And the reading is this. Attachment to the physical leads to desire. This leads to problems throughout our body. Therefore, I say to you, be in harmony with yourself. If you are out of balance, attempt to express your true nature. Let those who have ears hear. After saying this, Yeshua greeted them all and said, peace be with you. May heavenly peace be born within you and develop within you. Be on guard and don't allow anyone to seduce you by saying, here it is or there it is, because the Son of Man is found within you. Seek him there, because the one who seeks him will find him. Thank you and good night.